Thank you, Mr. President. So this is the bill that would repeal Missouri's capital gains tax, which is one of the most distortionary and economically destructive taxes imposed on our economy. Capital gains tax was first imposed over 100 years ago in the early 20th century, where it was first taxed as regular income but quickly became more complex over the decades. While Missouri has avoided some of the worst complexity, we continue to tax capital gains at the normal rate of 4.7% for individuals and 4% for corporations. The fiscal note estimates approximately $334 million in tax reductions split between the individual and the corporate, but I hasten to note that corporations don't really pay taxes in the sense that individuals do, because corporations pass their tax burden on to the individuals who ultimately consume their goods and services. What this tax represents is not revenue to the state, but lost economic opportunity, financial sclerosis, lower wages, all of which serve to make Missouri less competitive both domestically and internationally. I also hasten to add that this fiscal note is unable to contemplate the full dynamic effect of this policy change. The money that we send back to Missourians won't disappear. Some of it will be spent, some invested, and through those activities, a significant amount of it will still find its way into our state's treasury. But what will happen if the capital gains tax is repealed? Increased economic investment. Lowering the cost of capital will increase investment in our state. Money can cross political boundaries very easily, and it goes where it is most productive. Missouri has lost population relative to the rest of the country over the years, and along with it, the economic growth that accompanies population. People vote with their feet, and they're voting against Missouri. How we collect taxes is one major factor driving this overall trend. We'll have higher wages if we repeal the capital gains tax. Wages increased dramatically over the course of the last 100 years, driven by increased productivity, which in turn was driven by capital investment. More jobs are created as the economy grows, providing more opportunity for everyone to have a well-paying job. And better working conditions also are an effect of better capitalization in the economy. It's the difference between farming with a mule-drawn plow and farming with a modern tractor. Smarter investment in our economy. It eliminates the tax on inflation, which is built in to the capital gains tax and is extremely unfair because it is capturing not true economic growth, not true profit from any activity, but simply is an artifact of the federal government's monetary policy. It lets investors make decisions based on production efficiency rather than tax avoidance. We want people, when they decide what's good for their businesses, what's good for their families, to make that decision based on what's going to be most profitable, what best serves their friends and neighbors, and not how they minimize tax consequences. It avoids preferences for debt financing over equity financing, since capital gains essentially double taxes equity by taxing both the capital gains and the corporate income that eventually produces those gains. And it would eliminate the lock-in effect, allow people to enter and exit investments based on the timing of markets and business conditions rather than a part of a tax strategy. So there's two good examples of this. One is the transfer of family farms to the next generation. We want to allow families to change their housing circumstances based on family need. And so unsurprisingly, both small farmers and families around the state have registered strong support for this policy. Another good example was one that was actually brought up across the rotunda during a debate in that chamber, which is that seniors can find their Medicare insurance rates increased because they made a once-in-a-lifetime sale of a family business or other asset, which puts them in a different tax bracket and ends up costing them extra money. So who will benefit? In essence, every Missourian, from workers whose labor is now more valuable because they're able to work with more capital inputs, to small businesses and family farms who can make decisions based on what's good for business rather than what minimizes their tax liability. And anyone else who has an occasion throughout the course of their life to benefit from a capital gain. And although it isn't the intention of this legislation, our state's bottom line will also benefit, as the increased economic growth will translate into increased tax revenue. All of America will benefit as well, as this is but one small piece to help encourage the reindustrialization of our nation, reduce our dependence on foreign manufacturing, secure the production lines of both our standard of living and our national defense, so that we can have a strong nation that is not subject to the ebbs and flows of international trade to the extent that we are right now. Fixing the way we collect taxes and eliminating distortionary taxes is the most transformative thing our state can do to secure a more prosperous future for every Missourian. And I hope everyone here will join me in that effort. And with that, Mr. President, I'd be happy to answer any questions.